What have you learned about Brian Burns so far?
Yeah, obviously the talent is evident. The skill set's unique. I think just his approach day in and day out. He's taking on a leadership role in that room. I think it's evolving for us in the unit. But really, ultimate pro is how he goes about his business. He wants to be one of the premier players in this league, and he works that way.
Do you think there's another level for him to get to? Right, he's already a really good player in this league. He's a Pro Bowl player in this league. Is there another level that you think he could take
Absolutely.
his game to? And if so, like what ways can he get there?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope he does take it to a new level. I do. I think just continuing to be consistent to make sure he takes advantage of his opportunities when he gets chances to rush. I think the complementary piece of what we have up front is probably going to help him a little bit too. Having Dex, having KT, having whoever that fourth guy is. I think that's going to play a role, but I hope all these guys are striving to achieve more than what they've achieved, and have goals beyond of what has been so far that they can go try to attain for themselves and obviously for us.
Coach, Isaiah Simmons, is he starting to define a role in what you want him to do in his defense, or are you still kind of mixing and matching with him?
Yeah, he's done a good job. I think he's played a little sub-backer for us in some of those passing situations. He's been inside on early downs for us. I think he's continued to improve, right, and find some comfort in the places that we put him up to this point. I've been pleased with him so far throughout camp. I have seen growth from him. I have. To be in some unfamiliar positions at times, especially out there on early downs, I think he's done a good job of kind of understanding, being able to turn the page and progress in his understanding, not just only his role. So I've been encouraged by him, and hopefully that continues.
You said whoever that fourth guy is when you were talking about the front. Who is standing out aside from Dex? I know Nacho obviously has a role too, but who else of those young guys?
Yeah, I think Nacho's done some good things. I think Ryder's done some good things. I think Elijah's done some good things in there. So Aziz possibly, like who knows where that goes, but I think they've all kind of done some good things when they've had their opportunities to rush in there with that group.
You guys seem to challenge Kavon to take a step this year. Do you think he's had a really good camp so far, and what do you like about it?
Yeah, I do. The one thing I've noticed with Kavon is I think he's working hard to improve. Like I think he wants to take that next step. It's not just us. We're going to continue to push him, but I think consistently you felt him a little bit more out there each day. I haven't seen many lull days from him, but it hasn't really been the roller coaster ride. He's done a good job, I think, accepting the challenge and accepting the way we want those guys to play, the play style, what's involved with that position, the expectation obviously Charlie has for that position, I have for that position, I coach that position, right? So I think he's done a good job accepting that, and he's working hard, and there's been improvement.
Where are you with the second cornerback, perimeter cornerback opposite Tay Banks? Obviously, Cordell's out.
Yeah, so Flott's been hurt, so he hasn't been out there. I think Nick's done a really good job. Like, we moved him out there. He's had opportunity, so they're going to keep battling it out. We'll kind of see where it goes, but those two guys have done a good job. I think Hawk had a really good game last week. He was challenging guys. He had a few PBUs. I thought he showed up in the run game, so I think he's done a good job for us out there. So, continue to compete. Those guys battle it out and kind of see where it goes.
Is that a area, I mean, as a defense coordinator, I'm sure there's 12 areas of concern, right? But is that an area of specific concern for you right now?
I think it's just an area we haven't totally made a decision on, right? I think that's just where we're at right now. We're working these guys, trying to find the best 11 as a unit together, and who those pieces are. Doesn't always come down to possibly even the most talented player, right? Across the board, it's finding the best 11 for us. Not really an area of concern as much as just something we're continuing to work through.
Many times we don't see the inner workings of a team. When you guys make a trade, let's say Jordan Phillips, I mean, did they come up to you and say, do you need him, or how does that work?
Yeah, I'll let Daves and Joe kind of address that. I think Daves is coming up here in a little bit, so I'll let him kind of talk about roster decisions and kind of how all that goes down.
Just philosophically, your history, do you like having the number one corner travel with the receiver, or do you just kind of prefer to play sides?
I think it depends by game plan, who you're going against, matchups, right? Skill sets of who our guy is, who their guy is, how they match up. mean, I'm not opposed to it, especially in certain situations. But at the same time, as soon as you do some of that stuff, at times it shows your hand too. So it's ultimately what you're trying to get across scheme-wise, just pre-snap alignment, what information you're willing to give the quarterback. Some of that comes into play, but not opposed to doing it.
You only let up 3 points in the first game. What tenets of your defense do you feel like kind of stood out that you got some reinforcement on in the production?
Won't give it to me one more time?
Like what tenets of your defense that you've been preaching and teaching
Yeah.
your team put on the field?
I think thing I was most proud of was probably their resolve, right? They had some drives on us and our guys kept playing. They turned the page and focused on the next play, and we found stops in the red zone. We found stops on fourth down. We found turnovers. That's what this league is, right? Like, those guys get paid too. We're going to have to be able to continue to play the next play and not worry about what happened, but focus more on what's about to happen. So I was extremely pleased with that. Felt they played physical for the most part. Showed up in the run game. I thought we were square, playing with our hands. There's some technique things we have to continue to work on. But I felt like they were swarming, flying around. I think just naturally, just the style of play, right? Like, it's not like we're going into these games game planning a whole lot. Like, it's more about getting evaluations and hopefully as a unit continue to progress our style of play and how we want to attack each down.
Shane, you mentioned Aziz before and just where he fits, obviously with all the attention on Kavon and Burns. What have you seen from Aziz so far, and why would he be an option to maybe be that fourth guy up front with Dex and the two guys?
Yeah, I think he's had a really good camp. I do. I think he's been consistent. Like, I think he's flashed throughout camp each day. There's usually a play or two. I'm like, okay, that's a great play, right? So that's something I've been pleased with him about, is just the progression and being able to be the same guy every day. And again, when you get to those passing situations, it's finding the best for whoever that is and however we got to coordinate it to be able to get to the quarterback, right? So, I mean, he gives you a lot of versatility in that regard. I think Burns gives you some versatility. KT gives you some versatility in that regard. It's just a matter of where you place them, right? If you got 3 edge guys on the field, there's only 2 edges, right? So it's where you place them, and that's something we'll kind of work through as a staff as again, some of these personnel decisions unfold with the front guys as well.
And somebody argues who gets to be next to Dex. Right?
That's right.
Is Tyler Nubin's playmaking starting to stand out in practice now that he's on the field?
Yeah, it was good to see him last week versus Detroit as well. Yeah, he continues to get better. He continues to improve each day. I think the one thing with him is he's finally out there, right? So he's healthy. We missed him those first 2 weeks, and he's had ground to make up to get back in that competition, right? So he's been good. He's taking advantage of the opportunities. Doesn't make the same mistake twice. Like, I've been encouraged by where he's at right now.